welcome back to Exeter. You've been with us for a few weeks now, but just been announced as being our permanent goalkeeper coach. I mean, how delighted are you to be back at the club where you started your career?
Yeah, obviously, like you say, it gave me my chance when I was a 19-year-old. I've been playing football since, I think I've retired at 46. Then had a little bit of time out just purely because football's been my life for so long. I've been desperate to get back in. I've been managing Oakhampton Football Club for the last sort of 6-7 months, and I've known Kev for a long time because I sort of went in at Torquay a few years ago when Kev was there, and luckily I was up, living up this way. Spoke to Kev to see if he needed any help, as in to cover while Scott wasn't there, because I didn't know the situation, and it stemmed from there really.
I guess you must have really enjoyed your time filling in when Scott did leave, in so much that you applied for the job and got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like playing, but it's the next best thing, and the day-to-day banter side of it, and being out in the fresh air and working with keepers and hopefully improving them is as good as playing for me now. So I'm really enjoying it and looking forward to pushing on.
You talked about, obviously, you've been managing Oakhampton and things recently. I mean, how would you describe your coaching style? Is that something which is going to kind of be new in a way? Because obviously you've gone from management to actually the day-to-day coaching.
Yeah,
are you going to develop over time, or have you got sort of like...
No, I mean, the goalkeeping side of it is obviously very different, and things have changed, the mechanics and everything have changed and come on. So I'm doing that. I'm working with Jamal, who has his own ways of training, and I work with that, and and hopefully I'm here to progress him, improve him, advice, and the same with the two young lads, Harry and Andy, exactly the same. Bring them on, and hopefully they'll be stars of the future for the football club.
As important as it is, the coaching side of things, is the relationship that you build with those guys as important, because you spend all your time together, don't you? It's quite, and they always say about like the goalkeeper union and things, and that tight knit thing. Is that something you have to work on as well, just to make sure you're all?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, they were with Scott here before, and a lot of time for Scott. I mean, I met him very briefly here. Very warming chap. Very good at his job, and I've got my own style, my own way of training. And hopefully, bit by bit, we'll bring that in. And if I can improve the keepers, fantastic.
I mean, you had some career as well on the pitch, racking up over 700 appearances at all levels of professional football in England. So that's a lot of experience and knowledge that you can pass on to these guys.
Yeah, like I say, football has changed a lot since I finished in 2007. So, but how to deal with situations, how to deal with disappointments. How not to get too high when you're on a roll, when you're playing really well, not to get too far advanced of yourself. All of that is exactly the same, and I'm here for advice or anything else that they need. It's not just necessarily football; it's how they live off the field is really important.
It's not necessarily just the goalkeepers as well. I mean, you're working with the whole team, the backroom staff, the players, and everything. So, how have you been kind of welcomed into the club?
Yeah, very. I mean, I've known Kev, from sort of 5-6 years ago. So I've never met Gary up until I came in. Fantastic coach. I love listening to him and watching him, work on the training pitch, because he's out there every day, and Perks. So they've all got great strengths, and the club are in great hands with them for sure. In charge, and if I can help anyway, again, like I said, that's great for me. I'm learning all the time on the coaching side of it, outfield wise. I'm watching Gary, and he's implementing stuff new to the players. And I've got to take all that on board, because if players come to me and ask me questions, I've got to know the answers.
And I think it's pretty fair to say that you're a bit of a City legend as well, based on your time here. Over 200 appearances for the club in 2 spells. How much did you enjoy playing for the club? Yeah,
loved it. Like I said, it's my first club, so it's always been close to my heart. And it's not just that. You see the things that the club do for, like with Stanley, they gave him his dad's number 9, and that's an amazing touch. I mean, he's come in here and he's been incredible. What I've seen, his attitude to training, his philosophy, everything like that is something that hopefully rubs off on everybody throughout the whole club. And the club's, it's set up, it's a perfect club for someone to come in and really enjoy their football. I mean, the academy here is second to none. The amount of children, young kids that come through the ranks, progress into the under 18s and into the first team, and then go on, speaks volumes for the place.
You had a key role to play in the championship winning season of 89-90 as well. I guess arguably one of the most successful periods of the club's history and the only title the club's won. I mean, what are your memories of that year?
Yeah, I mean, I remember coming in and I played the 3 games a year before when Big Dave Waters was suspended. So I came in, didn't get in the first team till I think it was an FA Cup tie down in Dartford or something like that. We played away in the cup and drew. Mark Cooper made his debut in that and scored, I believe, in a penalty. So it took a while for me to get into the team, just before Christmas. And obviously, like I said, once I got in, it was down to me to keep the place and work hard. And we had a really good cup run. We obviously played Norwich in the 3rd round that year and got beaten a replay. So, they gave me my first opportunity in football. And like I said, I came back here after I left Barnsley in 2001, I think it was. And I was only going to come here and train and get fit and move on. And then Raddy was here and John Cornforth, and they persuaded me to stay. And it was just a shame that we got relegated because we had a really good team that year and we should never have been where we were in the league. And that was probably one of my biggest disappointments.
Do you feel that 89-90 season really kicked off your playing career? And, to have that spell and how the season ended and the confidence that it must have given you.
Yeah, and the one thing that has always stuck in my mind was Jim McNichol. We went and won the league. I think we won it by a canter in the end. And we were walking around and Jim was talking when all the crowd was singing and shouting. And he said to me, Kev, take this moment in, he said, because it may never happen again in your career. And that was my first year in football. In fact, Jim was right. I never got promotion again. But it's little things like that I remember. And the fan base here, for that last month, it was a sellout every week at St James's. And we were on a roll. And I don't think we had that great an away record. I think we won 5 or 6 games away from home. Yeah.
Lost about 15, 16 games away, I think.
Yeah, I think we drew 2 of our home games and won the rest. And I think we won maybe 6 away games, 7 away games, not many. And I think 2 of them in the last month. So we had a phenomenal home record. And again, like I said, that was down partly to the crowd. And it's a long way to come down here for a lot of the teams. And you've got to make it as uncomfortable as you can.
I mean, back then, St James Park was a lot different to what it does today. I mean, as someone who was here in the 90s, 2000s, and now, you must have seen a lot of improvement and progression at all things the club's doing and how much it's come on over that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Right throughout, from the youth set up to, it was run as a professional club, obviously, when I first came in, but the youth setup wasn't as professional, it wasn't as organised. Obviously the scouting system and bringing all these young lads through. I mean, when I was there, Chrissy Vinicum was one of the first ones to come through. Scott Hiley was there. They came through the youth and obviously had great careers. But now it's a forgiven. It's there every week. You look at the lads, young lads coming through, lads playing in the first team coming through. The stadium, it's a place that you want to play. That doesn't always work in your favour because when the pitch was like it used to be and it was cold and the stands were, sort of run down, teams didn't enjoy coming here on a Tuesday night, travelling 5-6 hours. Now it's a stadium where there's everything there. It's a great setup.
Just finally as well, I mean, a lot of fans who remember your playing days were kind of quite excited and interested about hearing that you were helping out the club, so I bet you better prepare yourself for lots of autographs and things on a match day now, so I'm sure you're going to get stopped by a lot of people. Yeah,
I don't mind that. I've always got plenty of time. They paid my wages for a number of years while I was here, so that's the least I can probably do.